Fidel Castro and his revolutionaries gained control in Cuba in the 1st of January of 1959. The US really didn't like that, so what they did is, under Eisenhower, they started creating this force of troops, of soldiers that were supposed to be trained Cuban exilees. They tried to create a revolution within Cuba, but they failed as the Cuban people rose up against them in arms and then captured all of them pretty much overnight. This was a huge embarrassment for the Kennedy administration. So the next thing he did is that he gave this guy, General Lansdale, the power to create a project that would destabilize the Cuban government. He assembled a team of veterans who had helped in bringing down the government of Arbenz in Guatemala in 1954. The stated goal of this project was to help Cuba overthrow the communist regime, including its leader, Fidel. They called this Operation Mongoose because there are 33 species of mongooses on Earth, and there were 33 plans proposed to bring down Castro. Plus, mongooses are nasty animals. This project was so shady that even today, after the documents have been declassified, most of the documents still look like the project was not very successful because they couldn't secure the support of the Cuban people, who still, at the time, worshipped Fidel. In order to get around that, the mongoose people decided they needed to get rid of Castro. And one of their plans to do this was to put thallium salts, which is a potent depilating agent, in his shoes so that his beard would fall off and he would look something like this. They thought that then the Cuban people would laugh at him and they would no longer respect him. At one point, the mongoose people even brought Ian Fleming, who was the author of all the James Bond books, to give him ideas, and with his help they came up with a lot of crazy ideas to get rid of Castro. They tried to get him to smoke explosive cigars. They wanted to put exploding seashells in the places where he liked to scuba dive. They also tried to put bacteria inside his scuba diving suit so that he would get infected with a lethal disease and die. According to Señor Fabián Escalante, who was in charge of Castro's security, there were 638 CIA attempts on Castro's life assassination attempts. There were also some more serious plans, which involved the bombing of all of Cuba's sugar plantations with napalm, exploding all the factories, poisoning the oil, the water supply, chemical warfare, nasty stuff. There was also a plan to trick the Cubans into thinking that the US was invading through Guantanamo. They would display flashes, play noises, and then the plan was that the Cubans would then attack Guantanamo, and then Kennedy would have an excuse to invade Cuba. Then in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. Khrushchev was sending nukes to Cuba. The US got angry, so there was this whole thing where neither of them wanted to back down so they wouldn't look bad. But in the end, it all was fine. There was no war or anything. But one of the things that Khrushchev made Kennedy promise was there would be no further attempts to destabilize Cuba. So officially, Operation Mongoose was dead. But inside sources in the CIA said that it continued for another 15 years. During the time that Operation Mongoose was officially functioning, it had a budget of $50 million a year. There were 2,500 people working in the project. And according to Noam Chomsky, it was the largest international terror organization in the world. The irony is that nowadays the US biggest fear is state-sponsored terrorism. Back then, they were the ones that endorsed and practiced state-sponsored terrorism. Yeah, I think I'm done.